Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am the man with no nickname, your host, Mr. Andy Burrows, and I am joined by my two illustrious co-hosts, Mr. Adam Cousins and David Robertson. Good evening, lads. How are we?
I'm good, mate. You okay?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. We've got another wrestling show to talk about, lads. We are here for our first ever AEW Collision review show. AEW kicked off last night, Saturday, with AEW Collision. All the hype, the furore, the fanfare, mainly around a certain CM Punk coming back. Adam, let's start with you, mate. Did Collision live up to the expectations? Did CM Punk deliver? Do you think that a Collision is something that you are going to enjoy week in, week out?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a solid start. Certainly a solid start to the program. And I mean, I think it's going to take a couple of weeks to a month to get everything in place, storylines, because I know they've not said it's going to be a hard split as such. So it's like they're going to have to work it out. But thoroughly enjoyed the show. Thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish, really. There's a couple of bits that we'll get into that I wasn't too fond of, but we'll get into that as we progress.
Yeah, no. Dave, obviously, you're our AEW guru, mate. This is AEW announcing another show, mate. It's like, me getting to play golf 4 times a week. This is incredible. I mean, what did you make of the show, mate? Obviously, it's hard because they literally built it, and I get why they had to do it, the whole CM Punk thing. And he obviously kicked off AEW Collision. We weren't sure what we were going to get, and they were sensible. They got him to open the show, done a promo. One interesting point I just want to quickly make about his promo. It's quite interesting how he took off the AEW thing from his microphone.
Last time he done that,
chucked it into
bit of trivia. Last time he done that, he turned heel.
Yeah, so it was quite interesting just to see. A lot of people reacted to that online as well. But Dave, what did you make of it, mate?
I really enjoyed it. I thought the show had a different feel as well to Dynamite, and that's probably the Elton John theme that they used to. it straight away felt different to Dynamite.
Yeah,
and then when we get in these stars back like Andrade, I think I forgot how good he is.
Yeah.
To be honest, and then Miro and these guys that we're going to get back now. They did Scorpio Sky. They did a little package for him. Thunder Rosa as well. She's still to come. So this, for me, is massively exciting because I'm thinking as good as the AEW roster is, they can now split that and you can see most of them on a weekly basis. There's still guys like Pac, we haven't seen. Pac could be a future world champion. Some people would say that he should have already been AEW world champion. So, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was a great show.
A little side note as well, Ring of Honor is being recorded before it every Saturday. So that's going to help Ring of Honor with having that crowd. They're recording now as Ring of Honor. Adam, let's get it out the way early doors, mate. The TNT title changed hands again. I'm not going to do a Katie Price reference, so don't worry. What did you make of AEW kicking off with the TNT title match? Wardlow is no longer champion. Luchasaurus is champ. Well, Christian Cage is kind of champion as well. He's like, I can kind of see where this storyline's going already. I was a bit disappointed. I don't think there's enough onus on the TNT title anymore for me. It is literally getting passed around like a hot potato. I did think of you, Adam, when I was watching it this morning. I caught up with Collision this morning. I didn't watch it live last night because I was way too drunk. But what did you make of the TNT title, mate, getting passed around again? Is this just to segue it to Christian versus Luchasaurus eventually, which is clearly what's going to happen?
Yeah, it may happen in the end. Storyline wise, it makes sense, and I didn't. From a storyline perspective, fine. I've got no problem with it. But we're talking not only are you diminishing a title, and in wrestling nowadays, and especially over the last 2 years in any promotion, the titles have meant something. They've had long runs. We could talk WWE, but Roman Reigns, Gunther, Bianca Belair recently. I know she recently dropped the Usos. Orange Cassidy's had a great run with the International Championship. But you're not only diminishing the title by changing it, you're diminishing Wardlow. Now, this is a guy that potentially is a world champion waiting to happen. Now we've got to take this guy seriously if he moves up the ladder to say he fights MJF or CM Punk or something like that. How are we supposed to take this and the title seriously going forward when we know it's like a stopgap, isn't it? Every 3 weeks it changes hands, and it's just
3 weeks. I'm amazed.
Yeah, and it's just so I'm a big fan of titles and prestige. I'm not saying I want everyone to have a year run, but at least make that title worth it. So when it changes, you're like, wow. And the next big star comes along to take the reign and to try and better the reign that was just doing. At the moment, you haven't got to do a lot to beat the reign. You've only got to do about 3 weeks, and then you're the longest reigning TNT champion. Just make the titles mean something. And now, what are you going to do with Wardlow to get the stock up?
He'll probably have a rematch probably next week on Collision. Dave, does it? Are you with Adam? I mean, does it kind of diminish the TNT title again? Like say Adam. I'm the same as Adam, but do you think someone like Roman Reigns and this reign that he's had, no pun intended, has kind of changed the game now? Because we don't want to see like years and years of title runs. The Roman Reigns and the Bloodline is pretty much a standalone, separate thing. That will probably never happen again in our lifetime. But I can't see it. Where are you with the whole TNT championship being passed around like a hot potato? Was it because Collision, first episode, want to make a statement, it was kind of treated as like a pay-per-view-y kind of feel. The crowd kind of had that. It was in Chicago. We get that. But in your opinion, Dave, being, you've been an AEW guy since day one, where are you with the whole TNT title?
I've got mixed feelings about what it does to the belt. As you say, a title change on a show like that was clearly something to get people talking. They weren't going to change any of the other titles. I think Wardlow is better off without the title, so I'm glad that he's no longer TNT champion. In hindsight, I don't think any of his title runs have really helped him. He was absolutely hot pre-winning that title. He was doing the Powerbomb symphonies, and he was so over. Crowd were going mad for him. They were all orchestrating with him when he was doing the moves, and they still do to a degree. But I think the title run has hurt him. So I'm glad it's off him. I'm glad it's on somebody else. But will Luchasaurus have a long title run? You wouldn't expect so. But then you could argue that because the international title and the world title, they're pretty lengthy runs, then you have another belt that he's passed around a little bit more, but I'm unsure. I totally agree with you guys as to a long title run really elevates the title and it makes it mean something more. And because nobody's done that with the TNT title, there's not really been one long run at all. It just seems to be, it hasn't got the prestige that it perhaps should have.
Be interesting to see where they go with it. Somewhere I'm glad they did go. Andrade El Idolo was back. What a match, sweet baby Jesus. I mean, Buddy Matthews, for me, match of the night. It's better than the main event. We're going to get to the main event. Absolutely loved it. Loved the ending, the way they done it. Very, very clever. Adam, what did you make of it, mate? These two put on. I'm glad that, like Dave said at the start of the show, Collision, maybe now you can showcase more talent. You've got more time. And if there's one match that I'm glad got more time, got showcased, it was this one. I thought it was incredible.
I loved it. I mean, I wasn't sure. I don't know if there's any injuries from that. I thought it was.
I think it was part of
the match. Yeah, look, but that was. But what I'm saying right there is that's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
hooked you in,
because that they've had injuries. They've just come back from leg injuries. So to do that stoppage thing where they were both getting checked out.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I fell for it 100%. I thought they were both injured,
and I hadn't had a chance to look to see if it was a legit injury or whatever. But it just felt, in your case, from what your guy's saying, it was just part of the.
Just watching El Idolo lift up for the figure eight at the end, I'm like, his arm is fine.
Yeah, but it was great work even when they were doing other moves because sometimes you can forget when you're in those. You see them sometimes when they hobble around and the next meter they're flying off top ropes doing 450s and corkscrew moonsaults. But even like 10 minutes later when Buddy tried to do the sunset flip foul bomb off the rope and his leg gave way.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you want. This match for me, I want to see it again, but I want like 30 minutes. Just let them go. It was absolutely. I disagree that I thought the main event was better. I'll be honest, but I'm blown away by it. Really, just more of the same.
The storytelling, the attention to detail, the technical skills, the high flying. it had everything, and I totally fell for it when they got in the ring. I thought, well, that's bad for AEW. I started thinking straight away, they've launched this new show, and two of these guys have got injured. That's where my head went straight away. And then obviously as it progressed, then I realised it's a work, and that's been confirmed. Oh, it was just a work of art, really, which sounds massively
the crowd pop
like
at the end as well. When soon as he put his arms back, and you knew what was coming, it proves how knowledgeable and clever wrestling fans are. That cheer was as loud as when CM Punk come out. Everyone knew that was like a hello Charlotte Flair. You know, I thought that whoever wrote that segment and said, "Look, put this in," that might have been it might have been her own husband. He might.
We don't forget Chris Hero's backstage doing some work.
Yeah, honestly, I thought that was tremendous. Whoever, like you say, Chris Hero, whoever wrote that, I absolutely loved the match. I'd love the main event, but for me, that was match of the night.
The fact that Buddy, it was a knee injury, and that's what he was out for, and then to go with the match the way they did, all the selling and all the targeted attacks, and to finish it with a figure 4 and branch into the figure 8, just perfect, to be honest. Absolute perfection.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. We then had Tony Nese and Mark Sterling, I've said that right, in the ring. And Miro was back. It was Rusev Day for those fans that maybe not know, not seen him in AEW. There's probably a lot of fans that might not have been new to AEW. They're thinking, hang on a minute, last time I saw him, he was in the WWE, but he's been in AEW. He's had some. He wasn't injured, and I think they just wasn't getting booked, and we don't know what happened backstage. But what did you make of seeing Miro back, Dave? Were you pleased to see him back in an AEW ring? And again, it comes back to what you said at the start of the show, mate. I think Collision 2 hours is going to open doors. There's going to be no forbidden door here. This is going to open door. This show for me. I thoroughly enjoyed seeing talent that I don't normally see or don't get enough time on Dynamite.
Yeah. Again, Miro fits in with those guys that we've talked about earlier, Pac and Andrade, and people that they're not quite world title yet. They're there or thereabouts, but they should be featuring a lot more on shows. They should be on week in, week out. And because the roster is so big, they have to rotate it, which in some respects, it keeps the wrestlers fresh. And when they come back, it's more of a surprise. But Tony Khan now should be able to keep a lot more wrestlers happy because they'll be getting on weekly television every single week. Now there's that extra 2 hours.
Question quickly about that, because Punk mentioned that what was in his bag, which was the former All Elite Wrestling Championship.
Is this going to be a snake?
Is this going to be the title for that particular show?
I did think that. And perhaps they'd have some kind of unification down the line.
Maybe.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we ever do see like an MJF on Collision, or
I think we will.
Punk on. I'm not sure if we'll see Punk on Dynamite a whole lot because
of
the whole
Bucks.
Oh, do you reckon we're being worked with the Bucks and Punk thing?
No, I don't. I don't think we are. I think there's too much gone on to say that we've been worked. That's just like saying, was the Montreal Screwjob work? You know it wasn't.
There's people out there that say that.
I know that, but I really hope one day that whatever the issues are, that they can, because sometimes the most personal feuds are the ones that make the money because they've got so much invested in it from a personal standpoint as well as a wrestling standpoint. It's just face it, it's the feud that everybody wants to see. I just hope that they can sort it out, whatever it is. Obviously bad thing that happened shouldn't have been, stuff that Hatch said shouldn't have been said at the time it was said. And let's just hope they can sort it all out and going forward, because it will make interesting TV if it does.
Dave, do you think Punk stays on Collision, Dave? Sorry, mate. Do you think he's purely Collision only? Won't see him on Dynamite?
I think so, certainly for the short term. It was definitely, everything that happened was legit, and we weren't being worked. All those things happened. There was real investigation. I really hope that it is now, they're now turning it into a work. So they've all got together because they're, the Young Bucks, Kenny, CM Punk, they're all good at long-term stories as well. They've proven that in the last few years with stuff. So if they now have devised this and it's going to go on for like 6-8 months a year, and there's going to be jabs here and there, and it turns out into having a match or, working it into an angle, that's my hope. I really hope it is, because I don't think after everything that's happened, Tony Khan would let Punk go out and do that and say what he said. And I mean, it wasn't as bad as the stuff he said in the media, in the press conference, but he was certainly having digs at the Young Bucks. And, you know, what did he say about...
He said that he was one buck Phil and the rest are all counting, the rest are counterfeit bucks. Or
yeah, and then there was that about being
if you
soft.
want me to, if you want me to apologize, you're just as soft as the wrestlers that
tell me I'm telling lies. When am I telling lies?
Yeah, that line about being soft or softer than the wrestlers, I just thought there's no way he's gotten out and he's been allowed to say that. Or you know, surely it's got to a point where they can trust CM Punk to go out there and be professional.
What do you reckon the split is backstage between the wrestlers, in all seriousness, about him being back? Because we know why he was put in a match with FTR, because they're great friends, you know. Yeah. FTR spoke about on the podcast before it got ended that what fans they were of CM Punk, and they've always said they're not taking sides, but you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out whose side they were really on.
Yeah.
What do you think, guys, about the whole backstage? Because you hear all this, you heard it back in the WCW days, and it was, you know, they literally let the inmates run the asylum. You know, that's probably their own fault for some of the contracts they dished out. I don't ever want to get AEW to that stage because I'm really enjoying what AEW are doing now. I don't ever want to get to the stage where you're like, oh, you remember like the finger point, not that you ever would, like the finger point of doom in WCW. I'm hoping it never goes to that stage where it comes across in matches now when I don't want to be watching it going, you can tell the wrestlers booked this, and this is purely not anyone's wrote this. I mean, what do you boys think the split would be backstage?
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm thinking you go.
I'll go.
So, I can't go. I asked the question.
From what we gather and talking to a few people, I think the elite pretty much keep themselves, you know, to one. I think that's what we're picking up on. You know, the elite are very close and it's like a clique, essentially. So, but I've also heard that Nick and Matt Jackson are really helpful with young wrestlers and they can ask them questions, but then other wrestlers go to Punk for advice. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I think, there's definitely sides being drawn and there's people get on with others, but that's like any workplace. You know, in a workplace, you tend to sit or be around the guys you get on with the most. And it's similar with wrestling, I suppose. You're going to meet so many people and you're not going to get on with everyone. But people must
hate Adam at his work. He works from home.
I don't always. I'm so bad I have to work at home. Yeah, I kind of agree with Dave. Like, I personally think that because we're not there. I mean, we don't really know. You know, we only know what's been let out there, and they're never going to talk about it until they never can talk about it
legally. No,
legally, and they won't be able to. So I don't know, because when you look at the CM Punk thing, you look at the reputation in WWE, it did go that way with some. That some people did feel that way about him in WWE. But we don't even know the guy. He could be the nicest guy in the world, and the same with the Elite and Kenny. And it could just be one of these things. It all started about Colt Cabana and all of that sort of stuff. But I'm sure, as Dave said, I'm sure there's picket lines being drawn, and there's people that won't want to work with him. And those are the people that you won't see on Collision, the ones that don't want to work with Punk. Hopefully, in the future, it will just, they'll sort it out and we can just get anyone and everybody on this, not necessarily on the same show at the same time, but
pay-per-views would be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be the next point, is what happens because that's going to eventually happen.
I'm hoping Punk goes into a feud with Samoa Joe. That's take my money.
Yes,
that's take my money time.
I'm
hoping that's where Collision is going to go, and they're going to headline. And if they do announce a title on that show, and eventually down the line, I think they're going to have to figure out how they're going to do that. Or is Punk going to want a match with MJF? But for now, next Saturday, obviously they didn't really tease much for next weekend.
He did mention MJF in his promo right at the end of the microphone. He said,
going to be. It's going to be. I'm hoping it's Samoa Joe. The Sky Blue versus Tony Storm match. The women got a little bit of extra time on Collision, boys. I thought it was a thoroughly good match. Again, very clever. Blues, obviously from Chicago. Great pop. Mum got to slap a few people around the face as well.
It was tag, wasn't it?
Tag. Yeah, sorry. Tag match. I enjoyed it. I mean,
it just shows things. What we're saying last week when we're saying it just needed 10 more minutes. And obviously last week's Dynamite was so good that because of what happened at the start, what happened at the end, they didn't get the time. Probably maybe something went over. Maybe they just didn't have the time to do it because of the constraints of the show. You give these girls, I mean, Willow and Sky Blue, considering they're relatively new to our eyes, and not necessarily men, but our eyes, fantastic performers. They've got a lot. I mean, Willow Nightingale beat Sasha or Mercedes Moné, albeit because she got injured, but she beat her. So I think the future's bright there, and I hope again with Collision to 2 hours, we get to see them a lot more and a lot longer matches, because these girls can go. So just give them the time and let them go with it.
Dave, what did you make of it, mate? The tag match, I really enjoyed it, and like Adam says, they gave it the time, they told a good story. It's all everything that I want in wrestling. I mean, the crowd were into it.
Yeah, it was great. And what AEW always do well, if they're in the hometowns of certain wrestlers, they give them their moment in front of the people from their area. They always do that. They've always done that, and they do it really well. So I hope they continue to do so. And the women's division is just getting stronger and stronger. As you said, that Willow Nightingale, another and these are relatively unknowns. Yes, on the indies, and people that are hardcore indie, they'll know of them. But people who just watch televised wrestling in the big companies, they're new and they're becoming stars, and they'll becoming those big names in women's wrestling, and it's just great to watch. Those two girls working with Soho and Toni Storm, that's just like perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%. Just one quick question I wanted to ask you guys as well. I thought about this, one rambling away to myself this morning. Ricky Starks was announced for the Owen Hart Foundation, cut, and Hobbs. What do you make of AEW doing the Owen Hart? Obviously, we weren't together doing this podcast when it was on last year. I remember me and Parker getting into it a little bit and chatting about it. Some people find it weird that AEW are doing it. Some people are like, it's good homage to, Owen and the family. I know Brett wasn't allowed to obviously appear at the final match last year because of WWE Hall of Fame contract things. I'm hoping, you never know, he might be there this year. I don't know there's some sort of deal they can come to. But Adam, I'll come to you first, mate. What do you make of AEW even doing the Owen Hart?
I love it. Look, the bottom line is we know why he's not going to get a look in the WWE.
Yeah.
Regardless of what we think and regardless of our own personal opinions on it, they're never going to get that opportunity. So if someone else wants to come along, like AEW, prestigious brand, they will take it seriously. They will show it respect. I'm all for it. And, look, we love Owen Hart as a wrestler. It's great that we get to see a little bit about him on this show, and the fact that they're honouring him with a tournament like they did last year, it is great. And Ricky and Will are two guys, again, that they are title winners. I know they've had championships, TNT. We've already gone into that, but it gives them a great opportunity to showcase their talents. And look, Adam Cole won it last year, and Britt Baker won the women's. But I'm all for it.
What about you, Dave? I know you do. Obviously, AEW is your go-to. Were you surprised to see them do this when it first started? When it first got announced last year, everyone was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, AEW acknowledging a WWE guy." Kind of felt a bit weird at the time, but I've come to, I'm with Adam. I think any time that I think it's a great thing that they're doing. And if Brett can ever, I know Brett's been on AEW, I think he showed up on one, didn't he? He was been on a Dynamite.
Yeah.
If I get to see Bret Hart, and if he's advertised on the show, I don't care what time of the morning it is, I'm tuning in.
Yeah. I'm just happy that Owen's getting this tribute, and it's in wrestling as well, because obviously there's the Martha Hart Foundation, and she raises a lot of money for charity, and that's in Owen's name. That's his kind of legacy to a degree. But there's a lot of wrestling fans that absolutely loved Owen Hart, and to be honest, a lot still aren't over what happened all those years ago. Now I still think about it now, and it makes you so sad that it happened in the first place. So I've always wanted his life to be celebrated, and his in-ring skills to be celebrated.
Yeah.
So it can't happen in the WWE. That will never happen, because you say, but I've read Martha's book, and there's no chance it's going to happen. No. So if Tony Khan can do it respectfully, and he can show clips of Owen wrestling from places in Japan, and his name will live on, and it introduces new wrestling fans to go back and look at some Owen Hart matches and his career. I think that's a great thing. And I know we joke about AEW and there's so many belts, but we got 2 shows now. So there's belts, and there's this trophy that wrestlers can challenge for as well. It's like competing for a title. In essence, if you're a wrestler, you would love the prestige of winning the Owen Hart Cup.
Back Collision announced after the women's tag match, they announced that this week on Dynamite we are going to see Jeff Jarrett versus Mark Briscoe in a concession stand match. Is anyone going to be interested in watching this?
I like Briscoe. Don't get me wrong.
Briscoe, I'm a big Briscoe fan.
I'm just not sure. I mean, I don't know what this match entails. I've never seen, but apparently there was a concession stand match.
Concession stand brawl, if it's
brawl.
Right, yeah.
There was one before, many years ago. I've never heard of it. I suppose intrigued is the word. I'd like to see what they're going to do with it. And I guess we'll see. We'll see this week on Dynamite. So when it gets to Thursday, we'll get an opportunity to tell exactly what we think of it. But it's unknown, isn't it? So you just don't know what it's going to do. We clearly it's going to be at the concession stand. You'd hope they're going to be fighting amongst the fans that are buying T-shirts.
I really hope next Thursday we're saying that we're kind of blown away by it. It was really entertaining. It was done really well. I was trying to give them that opportunity on Rampage, and I absolutely hated the 6-man tag with Papa Briscoe and Albury. That wasn't for me as a wrestling fan. Some wrestling fans might have enjoyed it, not for me. So I'll go into it similar to Adam, intrigued and hoping that they pull it out the bag, but I wouldn't be overly surprised if we're disappointed by it. I hope not.
No, yeah, we'll find out on Wednesday. The Acclaimed. I love them dudes. Come out and cut a shortish promo. Didn't really. I don't know why they would. Yeah. What did you guys make seeing the Acclaimed? I need to get them back into some sort of title picture. FTR. I absolutely love these two dudes. Good on the mic. Great in the ring. I haven't seen them wrestle for a while. I know they're due to be on Dynamite this Wednesday. I'm hoping AEW give them something to get their teeth into, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think they mentioned going for the trios again, but you're not really going to beat the House of Black. Let's be honest. They deserve the run. A little bit disappointed. I was expecting more from the Rap. I was looking
forward to that. Yeah,
I always, because there's always a line in there that tickles me, and it wasn't. They are over big time. I mean, as they say, everyone loves the Acclaimed, and Acclaimed every week was the new. They're getting more gimmicks than you, Dave. It's good. It's always good to see them. They're always entertaining, but they can back it up in the ring. And as long as you can do that, you've got a team there. But Billy Gunn looks like he hasn't aged in about 40 years. I'd love to know what his secret is, but he's looking great and ever. And let's see what happens. And hopefully they get embedded into a feud so we can see him every week on telly.
I'm hoping that's what's going to be Collision. Boys, the main event, Jay White, Juice Robinson, Samoa Joe, FTR, CM Punk. I thought it was really good. Really, really good. The moment for me, Punk and Joe getting in the ring together. I think AEW tweeted something out today. It's been like 6,000 days since this feud. That for me, like I said at the start of today's show, I'm hoping that is where Collision goes and Joe and Punk go off and have this great feud and it goes on for weeks and pay-per-views and whatever. But Dave, what did you make of the main event? Obviously, CM Punk back wrestling for the first time. Really looked like he hadn't missed a beat, really, to be honest. I thought it was tremendous. Yeah,
he's fully healed from his injury and he looked as good as ever, to be honest. You've got a mix in that ring of former or current, like WWE guys, New Japan guys, AEW guys, Ring of Honor guys. Between them, that's why we love wrestling. When matches like that can be made and they're as good as we hope they are, then they exceed our expectations when they're high. It's just magical. That match alongside the Andrade match with Buddy this week, I thought they were top matches, and I hope that continues on Dynamite and Collision week. And there's no excuse for it not to be, because the talent's there. So we should be getting that feeling from every Dynamite and Collision main event.
Just a quick one. Obviously, well wishes to JR after having his 4-week come out, and it didn't sound like he was really, he was quite. His voice was going.
Black eye.
I think he said he was stepping away for a little bit, so hopefully he's all good. What did you make of the commentary, guys? I loved it. Kevin Kelly and McGuinness, brilliant, absolutely
amazing,
fantastic.
absolutely amazing, mate. Anytime I get to hear McGuinness and Kelly as well, I liked his work when he was in WWF, Ring of Honor. Always liked his work. Something different. Like I like that's how they do it on SmackDown and Raw. They mix it up. You're not just hearing it. Back in the day, it was like Jerry Lawler and JR done absolutely everything. It was SmackDown, it was Raw, it was pay-per-view. So yeah, I absolutely loved it, mate. Nigel McGuinness for me is just one of the great. We were talking about dream guests not so long ago. Wow, you can ever pick his say no. If you could ever pick his brain about wrestling, yeah, I loved it. Great move from AEW.
Yeah. Great commentary team, and I seemingly can't get away from the London accent. I'm stuck with you two and Nigel McGuinness for a couple of hours on a Saturday night. So I'm going to need Tyler Bate to step up soon from NXT. So some of the Midlands accent could be showcased, and obviously Pete Dunne.
Yeah, definitely. My view on the main event was outstanding. I loved it. Listen, Juice Robinson was one I was a bit questionable about. This out of all 6, any 6 of those guys I'll quite happily sit there in my screen. If they're going to go with Punk and Joe initially, I'll be sitting in every week just to see that, because that's going to be amazing. But Juice was the one that really, for me, elevated the most out of this. I mean, obviously, Jay White was always a star, but we hadn't quite seen that yet since he'd come in until recently with Jay White. We hadn't quite seen it. Samoa Joe, we don't see him enough because he's on Ring of Honor, but he's always a good hand. Punk's, as you say, not missed a beat. FTR, the greatest tag team in the world at the minute. But Juice Robinson, for me, definitely come out of that with a lot more elevation and a lot more expectation for me going forward to see what he can do.
Dave, where do we go with AEW Collision now? Is it kind of treated as the same as Dynamite? I know it's going to be a weekly running show, but I love the fact it's on a Saturday night. I think that's a great move. I don't know how that's going to work over in the States. Maybe some of our American listeners or people that watch on YouTube can comment when college football's back. That's going to be interesting because I cannot tell you how big college football is over in the States. My God, it is huge. But where do you think AEW are going to go with Collision? Dave, you mentioned at the start, it could be really going to split the brands. But what are your hopes for it as we move forward now?
Well, after a few weeks, we should really have a better understanding of who's where predominantly. So we kind of know CM Punk is going to be on Collision. And we kind of know the Bucks and Kenny and Hangman are going to be on Dynamite. So it's then who else is filling out these rosters? It appears that Samoa Joe is going to go Collision way because they're going to do something with Punk by the look of it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a different show to Dynamite with different storylines and different things going on with the occasional bit of crossing over. I wouldn't be expecting wrestlers who on Dynamite are then wrestling again on the Saturday night. I think we get... Yeah, I think we get 2 different shows with different talent.
Don't think they go old school ads like when Raw fed into SmackDown and SmackDown fed into Raw and you had to watch SmackDown to know what happened in Raw. Do you think AEW could maybe do that with this at the end of Dynamite? You bear in mind it's only 3 days between the shows. Is that a potential avenue they could go down?
I think they can in some instances, definitely. I think that you kind of touched on. There's no way Punk's going to be on Raw anytime. Raw? Well, he's not going to be on Raw anytime soon. No chance he's going to be on Raw. Excuse me, he's not going to be on Dynamite anytime soon. We kind of guessed that. But other feuds, I don't see why they can't. And as you say, as long as this week you kind of don't have to, although they did make us want to watch it again because the action was so good and it was even the theme song at the start with Saturday Night's All Right, for fighting is a great way to introduce the show.
Elton John is all elite.
It really worked as well, didn't it? It really worked.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When I first heard about it, I wasn't sure. But when they got the video package and it all come together, it was like, okay. But going forward, they have to make you want to watch the next show. Like Dynamite done that brilliantly this week. And we sat here and mentioned it, start and the end. You just wanted to watch. You want to watch next week. But then
I don't know. I've seen the card.
Okay, well, we'll see. It might surprise us. As we always say, we take the card.
Let's hope so.
The action could be good on it. And the Collision, they didn't need to get us to watch next week. They needed to make sure it didn't foul. And I think even the poll that we've put out on Twitter today kind of goes along the lines of people that watched it thought the show was a success. So let's see what happens. As Dave said, next few weeks we'll find out a bit more about where it's going, what's going to happen. And when college football comes on, we'll see how big the ratings hit. And do they then do the crossovers at that point because of college football?
In terms of the rating, lads, where are you with it? Because I personally never watch anything live. I know with the time zone, we can't watch Dynamite. Well, it's unlikely that we're going to be watching Dynamite and Collision live as it happens, because it's 1 a.m. over here. So we watch it the next day or watch it on Fight. But how much of the ratings? I think that's how people consume content these days, by streaming it, by downloading it, not watching it live. They'll record it on it's a DVR, isn't it, in the States? They'll record it and then watch it back. For English fans will record it on their Skybox and watch it back. So how much ratings, how important is it, do you think?
I think it's, to a degree, I think it still is. I think you can even get a DVR rating, can't you? They even say that these are the people that recorded it on their DVRs. So because I think Sky do it. So is it as big as what it? I think from a television perspective, it definitely, like TNT and TBS and all of the ones that invested the money into AEW, yes, they'll want to see a rating because they've invested a lot of money in putting these guys on telly. So I think to them it does. Look, you're going to get the fans that are going to crap all over it if it's, they do every week with a Rampage rating. I think sometimes when they put the rating out there, it's just a chance for an idiot fan to have a go or have just
angry
paint. Yeah, but to me, I'm not bothered. Look, I want to see as many people watch wrestling as I can. I just think the rating is important to the network. Maybe there's a clause in contracts to say they need to hit, maybe it's because TNA said they was going to get to a 3 rating when they were going against WWE, and they never got past a 1.5, I think was their biggest rating. So I don't know. The real answer is I don't know, but I just whatever.
See, if they're kind of giving AEW another 2 hours, like primetime TV, Saturday night in America, something must be going well. Because definitely. if you just listen to everything you heard online, and particularly in terms of what people say about the Rampage ratings, Rampage was their second big show. The ratings have gone down. People made a big deal, but they've still got another 2-hour show being given to them. So they must be doing something right.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Adam. I mean, Fight TV for me has changed the whole game anyway. I know for us over here, we can watch everything live on there. Like, so I watched Collision as soon as I woke up this morning. First thing I did, I'm going to take a headache tablet because I had a really bad hangover, was go and pick up my phone and just watch Collision. And I love it. I love the fact, like, I'm the same with Dynamite. I on a Thursday at work, I sit in the passenger seat on a Thursday. I've got like a 2-hour drive to my first delivery. I pretty much can bang out most of Dynamite. I put my headphones in. I watch Dynamite on Fight. Collision I watch on a on a Sunday morning now. Rampage I watch on a Saturday morning. SmackDown I put my Skybox on and watch it on a Saturday morning. So I'm kind of with Dave there on that. I mean, I think, and Adam says, I think it's more the execs. If you're advertising on an AEW Collision, if your advert's on prime time that night, that's where you want to know that you've got eyes on your product, because you're advertising on a major television network in America. So people like, did they say for advertisers, the Super Bowl halftime, millions. Absolutely, it cost them $40, $50, $60 million just to pay for a slot at halftime at the Super Bowl. So I think that's where it will come back to networks, and I'm guessing AEW will get a proportion. If you hit this rating, right, there's some money for that. If you hit this rating, there's some, so all those swings and roundabouts. The more money AEW can make, the better product we're gonna see out there. It does help that they're owned by a multi-billionaire. Don't get me wrong.
They must be able to correlate and see absolutely every bit of data there, though. All the people that watch it on Fight, all the people that watch it on DVR, they've obviously got all of those pieces to the puzzle. And if Fight probably pay TNT, I would imagine. Like if people watch it on Fight,
it's live on there.
Yeah, TNT will get paid for that because it's their show essentially.
Yeah, it's when you show the Premier League in America, you know what I mean? The Premier League are getting paid because 3 o'clock games are live. And when I was in the States, I was watching Spurs live at 3 o'clock here on a Saturday. I was out in the States watching that game live. You can't be, they've just ventured it over to here last season. You might be able to do it soon.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way the world's going. I think everything's going to be subscription based soon. I think football, I think that's going to be subscription based in the next 10 years. Obviously, wrestling already is with the WWE Network. You've got Impact Plus, you've got Fight TV. UK promotions can pay Fight TV to show their event. If we wanted to, we could pay Fight TV to show Buckle Up, our event, July the 23rd. Tickets are nearly sold out. Make sure you go and get them. We could pay Fight TV to do that. and show our events. So yeah, I think the good thing is that it's got more eyes on wrestling. We're all wrestling fans. You can never have enough wrestling. And like you guys said, I heard you guys on with all the elite guys. You don't have to watch everything. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But don't come on Twitter going, well, this day they can't be getting many ratings for this. Well, I'm taking a break from watching my SpongeBob videos to come and angrily tweet you from my mum's basement. Don't watch it.
You found your gimmick, Andy. I like that.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. But yeah, I thought Aew Collision, guys, kicked off to a great start. I'm looking forward to Saturday. Kind of looking forward to Dynamite. I'm hoping the card don't ever judge a book by its cover, as I said on Twitter yesterday. But boys, another wrestling show for us to analyze and break down every week. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. Make sure you go check us out on Twitter. You can find us at HTT Buckle. We are on TikTok, Hitting the Turnbuckle. We are on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle Podcast. We are on Facebook, Hitting the Turnbuckle. Got some great guests coming up. We've got our review shows will be out next week. Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, Impact. Everything, anything top you want 10, us to review.
New top 10 next week.
New top 10 coming out next weekend. But really enjoyed this one, boys. I've been your host. No nickname, Andy Burrows. Maybe that could be my nickname. Can that be? No, I can't. Dave, Adam, I'll catch you down the road. It's been a pleasure. Till next time, everybody, buckle down. Stay safe.